Hi, team. This is George. Appreciate all the effort you're putting into our class. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving first. So, happy Thanksgiving. I hope that it is warm and wonderful for you. I want to talk about our advanced development paper at this point as well. It is due, part one is due on Monday, and I wanted to, if we just click the overview, if you click that overview in there, it sends you here, it gives you the scenario, which Maria, um, Isabel and Carlos. Maria's 43. She's a refugee from Cuba. She just came to the United States with both of her children. Isabel's a 13-year-old. Carlos is a 3-year-old. You have to choose one family member, and you're going to use that for all three parts of your advancing development paper. Now, what's interesting is this paper gives us a neat opportunity because we're looking at development. And if you click Advanced Development Paper Instructions, it's going to give you these instructions here. So as we look, I'm going to go through this in a moment, but I want to make a point about our note. This is important because we're going to be making decisions based on a very scarce scenario. We don't know a lot about Maria. We don't know a lot about Isabel. We don't know a lot about Carlos. We know their age, refugee from Cuba, just came to the United States. That's what we know. Okay, so this gives us a great opportunity for self-reflection because each of us has a bias, period. We all do. We have a bias because we see life through our set of schema, and that is our past experiences. If you're from Cuba, you're going to see it differently than if you're not. If you've never been out of the United States, you're going to see it differently than somebody from Europe, things like that. So we all have our bias. Maria, does it say anything about a dad? No, it sounds like a single mom. My mom was a single mom. She raised me as a single parent. Do you think that I'm going to have some bias towards Maria? Absolutely. I'm going to think that she's kind of awesome because, that's my perspective. My mom had to do that. So I'm going to cast that onto Maria as well and want to give her as much help as humanly possible. So biases happen. Quite often. So as you go through this, think of why. Why do you think this as far as the developmental stage? Are you looking at it clinically or are there some biases coming in? There always are some biases coming in. So we always want to reflect and think of why they are because that's how we grow. We can't get around it, but we can grow from it and learn as well. So with that being said, here we go. You're going to choose one. We've already talked about that. Then you're going to address, describe your chosen individual's physical, social, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual moral development, and address the following. It talks about giving examples in each one. Use each one of these: physical development, social development. Use each one as a heading. Because then as you go through it, you know that you hit every part and you didn't miss anything. It just makes life simpler, makes it easier for me to grade too, and it matches the rubric. So it just makes things simpler altogether. So if you use those as headings and answer the questions, you don't have to write the specific questions, but if you have that as a heading, you can go right in, talk about key terms, any aspects of their appearance, motor skill, movement. So now in the physical development, you're going to have to make some decisions about their appearance, motor skill, movement. Do you know if there's any motor skill problems? No, but you need to make those decisions. So that'll be a part of your input to the case, to the scenario, because we will have to kind of read into some of it. And then after you do that, think of why you did that. And then examine, was there any bias or did you just do it because you wanted to look at somebody who maybe had a certain deficiency in somewhere? What was your reasoning for it? So that's kind of the fun part. That's the self-assessment part where you do not have to write anything about it whatsoever in the paper, but it is a great learning tool. We have an opportunity to learn something grand here. So feel free to do that. I am going to ask you personally to do it because it's such a powerful process to go through that self-reflection and see. And then finally, you're going to have a couple paragraphs where you compare and contrast your chosen person state of development versus the other two. So if you chose Maria, she's 43. She's going to have She's in a very much a different stage than her 13-year-old, who's in a different stage than her 3-year-old. Absolutely. So compare and contrast. Look at the differences between the different stages. You don't have to get incredibly in depth, but you want to give some examples because you're going to give examples up here. Examples are powerful because that's real world. That's what happens, what we go through as people. So give those examples. And that is part one. So appreciate your effort on this. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.